All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Big waves to you. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Well, we thought we had a birthday this morning, but Anita, please tell him that we said happy birthday. Okay. The word for today, is brought to us by Melissa. Melissa, the word is hope. Hope. So I'm going to go straight to the dictionary on the noun version of hope. A feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. The verb says, I want something to happen or to be the case, right? So I think we can all probably get pretty close to the definition of hope. But I got to thinking this morning, and I looked at a couple of quotes, and I want you to think about this. Hope is being able to see that there's light despite all the darkness, right? Like meaning, I don't think we could experience the good or feel the hope if we didn't know that there were struggles, right? So how would we know that there's good things, there's things to be hopeful for, if we didn't know about the struggle or the challenges? And so hope is being able to see that there's light despite all the darkness. And I really thought this morning, I thought about what's the difference between a victim and a survivor in an instance. Like you pick it, right? What's the difference between a victim and a survivor? And maybe this might not always be the case, but I would say that it's the loss of hope. A victim becomes a circumstance of losing hope. And I couldn't help but to think of myself out swimming in some cold water in the Atlantic, right? So picture this, picture yourself, like something happens, we fall off and we're out there and we're just paddling, right? We're just paddling. And I'm assuming that at the beginning, there's hope. There's hope that somebody's going to come rescue me, a boat, a plane, like Coast Guard, something's coming. But what happens as time goes on? Is there a numbness? Is there a loss of hope? And my mind was like, if I stay there long enough and I lose enough hope that somebody's coming, then I might end up just giving up, right? Giving up. And I know that seems dark, but I think we can do it in our profession. I think we can do it in our health journeys. Like, have you ever been in your health journey? Like you started doing really well. Your body's transforming. And then you stop and you backslide and you pick up the weight. Your body goes back to what it once was. And there's a little sense of loss of hope. Like, oh my goodness, just the heck with it, you know? What about finances? Like, you're doing real good, and then something hits you and it just depletes the funds. And you're like, is this the way it's always going to be? And there's been times in my profession that I'm like, it's not just this smooth sailing ride to the top. There's things that happen that sometimes I question, like, is this really what it's going to be? But I share with you all of that to say, and Andrea and myself were talking about this morning. I believe there's two things that really can help us keep our hope alive. The first is having an inner circle of people that's pushing you, that are helping you, like they've got the torch with you going to the next place. An inner circle. So if you're somebody right now going, I'm having to do this health journey by myself, I'm having to do this profession by myself, there's nobody I talk to, I would challenge you to get an inner circle that's going where you're going, or wants to go to where you're going, or wants to help out to get you to where you're going, as well as get them to where they're going. And then I also challenge you to have an outer circle, like a mentor, somebody outside of the circle that's there to help encourage, that's there to help give wisdom, because all of that helps us move to the next level, and it helps us keep hope when the waters get rough, when we feel like no one's coming, we feel like the Coast Guard might not ever make it. Does that make sense? So maybe that was a little deep this morning, but that's where I went with hope. I got to surround myself with the right army of people. So, Andrea, I'll turn it to you.
Well, beautiful lesson this morning, very hopeful. And I kind of was thinking about the times in my life when I've felt hopeless, right? And like, what does that feel like? It kind of makes you want to hibernate. Like, can anybody relate to that, where you want to try less, you want to do less, you want to help other people less? You just kind of want to be less as a person. You just want to shrink yourself down and down. And Coach already talked about that. Like, you're hopeless to lose weight, so you're not even going to try. You're hopeless around your kids. They're always naughty, so you just kind of give up, doing the fun things maybe. Or you're hopeless around your folks because you're like, I can't change their circumstances right now. Or I'm hopeless around my finances, so why bother? I'm just going to go buy a new pair of shoes, right? So that hopelessness can absolutely cripple us. And it can really make us shrink ourselves down just more and more and more. But if we can find just one little grain, one little bit of hope, we can absolutely overcome all of that. Like, you have a good conversation with your mom and you're like, you know what, we might be able to make some tweaks here and we can get her a little bit healthier. Or you get like a little, like maybe it's $1 extra that you weren't expecting. You're like, you know what, if I could just find a way to keep gathering just one more dollar, I can make a complete difference in my finances. Or your kid gives you a squeeze when you weren't expecting it, and you're like, oh, they are good inside. They are beautiful humans. Or you try on a pair of pants you haven't worn for a minute and you can button them and you're like, oh, maybe I can. So what can we do to find that little grain, right? When we're in a place where just everything feels hopeless, how can we find that just little smidge of hope when we're not seeing those wins? Well, first of all, we got to look for them. If I wake up every day and I look outside and I'm like, oh, it's windy today. Oh, the first freeze warning. Oh, right? Like, I have all these icks. Well, then that's all I'm going to see. I've got to look for the bright spots. I have to look for it. So that is completely mindset. Nothing changes outside us until we start looking for those brighter spots. Next is faith. So we've got to have belief that there's something bigger and more important than us. And that could be our God, that can be a higher power, that can also be our child, a loved one, a mission, or a cause. It's just a reason that we have to go on that has nothing to do with just us. So we've got to find that faith. Next is gratitude. And gosh, I love gratitude. It's such a fun thing. So when we focus on what we have to be thankful for, not on what we don't have, not on what we've lost, not on what we want, then we can absolutely have hope. So we have to remind ourselves every single day. And, I talk about this all the time, but maybe this is my favorite thing. Maybe when I climbed in bed last night, my sheets were smooth under my toes. There's nothing I hate more than the toe wrinkle. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about. You put your feet in there and there is a wrinkle at your toes. You could murder a person over that wrinkle. Okay, maybe just me. But when you slip in between those sheets and the toe wrinkle's gone, it's smooth and wonderful. Well, then that could be the thing that I'm grateful for all day. I had no toe wrinkle last night, and that might be it. But we can focus right there. Just find that small piece of gratitude. And next is love. Think about all the people in our life, all the people that we love, and those that love us. We are surrounded by people that we love and people that love us. And they might not be right here. They might be far away, but there are people on this earth. We might not even know them, but they are loving us, our friends, our family, people that we work with. So make a point to connect with the people that you love, the people that you have a heart for. And when we connect with that love, it absolutely can make us feel more hopeful. And lastly, I'm going to say that it can be painful to talk about our mess. But sometimes when we can talk about our mess, we can share some hope to other people. And I don't mean jump on the phone with somebody and complain to them, because that's not going to make anybody feel more hopeful. But when we can have that, and I forget how they describe it, but kind of when you tell the story, I was in a place where I was 2 months behind on my mortgage and I was praying for groceries, but I found something that's fed my family, right? So I shared my mess, I shared my vulnerability, I shared the pain point, but then I also shared the hope of what I went through to get to the other side. And if we can share that with more people, we can provide more hope around this beautiful nation. So that's what I had this morning. So thank you for this one, Coach. And Melissa, thank you. This was a great word to focus on this beautiful Wednesday.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa, for the word. Great lesson. Yeah. Guys, have a great Wednesday. Happy hump day. We'll see you back tomorrow. See ya.
Love you guys. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Great job.
Thank you.